If you stand on the flat plains of central Thailand at dusk, you'll hear crickets, see buffalo trails, and feel a breeze move over rice paddies like a long, sleepy sigh. What you won't see, not at first, is a kingdom that once lived here. A name that almost slipped out of history. Dvaravati. It isn't a kingdom of towering stone faces or jungle-eating temples. It's softer, made of earth ramparts, wide moats, brick stupas, and gentle Buddhas. Its traces sit under modern towns: Nakhon Pathom, U Thong, Khu Bua near Ratchaburi, even Si Thep out on the dry plateau. For centuries, people walked past mounds and thought, just hills, just fields. But the ground remembers. Tonight, we'll wander slowly. No rush, from village roads to museum halls, from a round moated city to a broken wheel of stone. And we'll listen for Dvaravati, the old Mon world that laid quiet foundations for Thailand long before the word Thai ruled these lands. Take a breath, let the day drift away, and step with me into the dusk. So, where was Dvaravati? And when did it bloom? Imagine a cluster of garden ponds, each with a low circular wall and calm water inside. That's how many Dvaravati towns look from the sky. Rounded or oval cities with moats like bracelets. U Thong tucked by the Mae Klong River. Nakhon Pathom near the fertile central plain. Khu Bua resting southwest. Si Thep further northeast with the twin moated enclosures like a sleepy 8. The time, roughly the 6th to 11th centuries CE, not a single long dynasty in a palace. More like sister towns sharing a style, a faith, a set of symbols. They sat between big neighbors, Chenla, and later the Khmer to the east, Srivijaya to the south over the sea, and shifting highland peoples to the north. Dvaravati didn't roar, it hummed, trade humming up the rivers, monks humming Pali verses, craftsmen humming as they pressed terracotta tiles. Dates blur at the edges, because Dvaravati wrote modestly and built mostly in brick and earth. The big records belong to others. Chinese envoys noting a name, Sanskrit words on a few stones, but the soil tells the rest, and we'll read it together, slowly. Dvaravati's language and soul were largely Mon, a people of lowlands and slow water. Listen to how Mon words float, soft consonants like paddles dipping in a canal. The Mons carried Buddhism across floodplains and lifted it gently into daily life. Markets, kitchens, ferry landings. The Buddha here doesn't stride like a conqueror. He stands calm, hands raised in reassurance, eyebrows arched like shallow bridges, lips faintly smiling as if to say, everything changes. And that is okay. Were the Mons alone? Not quite. These plains are crossroads. So you had Khmer influences on the east, Indian ideas arriving by sea and river, local spirits at every termite mound and big tree. Dvaravati was a basket woven of many reeds, but the Mon weave gave it shape. At dusk, you can picture it, ox carts creaking, a monk in saffron walking the levee, a potter rolling a coil of clay, children chasing a dog along the moat. No trumpet of empire, just a steady rhythm of small lives that together built a culture. If you ask Dvaravati to introduce itself, it holds up a wheel, the Dharmachakra, the wheel of the law. You'll find them in sandstone, round, spoked, sometimes set on a lion pedestal, representing the Buddha's teaching rolling out across the earth. Beside the wheels, you'll see boundary stones, sema, set around sacred spaces like a ring of silent guardians. And there are terracotta plaques stamped with little scenes, musicians, dancers, vines curling like lazy smoke. everyday joy fired into clay. The stupas and shrines were mostly brick, humble compared to later Khmer stone temples. But brick breathes with the seasons. It warms in the sun and holds the memory of hands. At Nakhon Pathom, an ancient core lies under the great modern chedi, like an ember inside a brazier. At Khu Bua, low ruins spread out like sleeping elephants. At Si Thep, a brick tower rises with a Khmer neighbor beside it, showing how one world slowly blended into the next. Dvaravati art is modest, but look close. The Buddhas have long fingers. The robes fall in simple lines. The face is serene, more human than heroic. Its faith as comfort, not spectacle. Every kingdom needs roads. Dvaravati's roads were water. From the Chao Phraya Basin, boats slid down canals, into rivers, then out to the Gulf of Thailand, and further to the Malay Peninsula and the Indian Ocean. Merchants carried beads of carnelian and glass, tiny glittering talks between far coasts. Coins, some bear a wheel, some a conch, symbols more than portraits, because the idea of rule here wasn't about one stern face. It was about sacred duty and community. Dharma rolling along like the river itself. News came with the tides. A monk from Sri Lanka speaking of texts and relics, a sailor from the Strait of Malacca bringing pepper and stories, a Khmer envoy drifting in with carved bracelets and a rumor of a great stone city to the east. If you close your eyes, you can hear the market of a Dvaravati town, the bargaining, the laughter, the slap of a fish on a basket, and the chant of a sutra from a nearby hall. Trade didn't make Dvaravati rich like a golden legend. It made it connected, and that's a quieter kind of wealth. Dvaravati's Buddhism leaned Theravada, the simple path of mindfulness and merit, but you'll find traces of Mahayana compassion and Hindu devotion too, because hearts are never tidy shelves. Inscriptions in Pali and Sanskrit appear like small anchored boats in a wide lake of silence. A donor's name, a dedication to a stupa, a prayer for well-being, just enough to tell us. People cared, they gave, they hoped. Monks lived close to the village clock. Sunrise alms, midday rest, evening chants. Festivals folded faith into farming. End of the rains, new rice, lanterns bobbing on water like wishes. The art mirrored the mood, no violent gods beating demons. More often, a Buddha quietly teaching, a wheel turning, a deer listening in a grove. And perhaps that's why Dvaravati is easy to overlook in textbooks. It doesn't shout victory. It whispers continuity. Let's walk the old towns one by one, at a sleepy pace. U Thong, an oval city wrapped by moats, canals like ribs, fields breathing on the edges, pottery sherds crunch softly underfoot. You stop at a small museum case, a Buddha head with downcast eyes, stone wheels with calm spokes, terracotta plaques with looping vines. You don't need a guide to feel it. The place knows. Khu Bua, near Ratchaburi, sprawls like a map of low mounds. Brick platforms peek through grass. A few laterite blocks hold a last warmth from the sun. Standing there, you hear birds and distant motorbikes. Ancient time and modern time mixing like two quiet streams. Nakhon Pathom, famous for the giant chedi. Under that smooth, golden bell, archaeologists found earlier layers, a deep root system of faith. Like a big banyan growing from an old stump, the city's present sights on its past, still living, still shading people below. Si Thep, out toward the dry heartland, offers a double surprise. Two moated enclosures, and both Dvaravati and Khmer layers. A place that changed languages and styles, like a person changes clothes with the seasons. It tells the story of transition, of how Dvaravati slowly yielded to new powers, while leaving fingerprints on everything. History is a tide chart. Kingdoms rise like the flood, then ebb into the next swell. To the east, the Khmer world grew stone strong. Lavo, Loburi, sat in the path of that power, and you can feel Dvaravati's gentle clay giving way to harder lines. To the north, Mon people carried a related light to Hariphunchai, Lamphun, where another Buddhist city glowed for centuries. To the south, Srivijaya's ships threaded the straits and spread ideas like a fine net across the coasts and creeks. Dvaravati didn't collapse with a bang. It thinned, strands woven into new cloths. Some towns took on Khmer administrators. Some simply faded as river paths shifted. Some were folded into early Thai polities, moving down from the valleys. The word Dvaravati itself, meaning something like having gates or a gated city from Sanskrit roots, might have been a style, a reputation, a way of being, more than a single throne. When you think of decline, don't picture a fire. Think of a lamp being used to light other lamps. The first flame is still there, just spread out, quieter, wider. If you want to meet Dvaravati today, go small. A provincial museum with creaking floors and courteous guards. A case of coins with wheels and conches. A gentle Buddha with long fingers. A sandstone Dharmachakra with sunlight on one spoke. Walk the moats. Yes, they're still there. Curves of water that catch morning mist. Watch a farmer fix his pump by the embankment. Listen to a kid ride a bicycle where a procession once passed. This is how the past lives, tucked into ordinary days. You'll notice something. Dvaravati survives not as a ruined epic, but as a habit, a way of placing sacred things inside circles, a preference for calm faces, a temple festival that feels like a family dinner. Even a modern chetty built over an ancient core is a kind of conversation. Old brick, new plaster, old prayer, new microphone. All of it part of one continuous breath. Take your time when you go. Sit on the grass. Let the ants reorganize your patience. The kingdom will introduce itself when it's ready. Thailand's story is often told with bright banners. Ayutthaya's trade, Sukhothai's kings, Lana's hills, Bangkok's bustle. But trees need soft roots. Dvaravati is one of those roots, unseen but necessary. It carried Buddhism into the rice plain. It shaped the taste for round cities and boundary stones. It set a mood, gentle, communal, steady, that kept echoing even as languages and rulers changed. When you see a Dharmachakra carved on a temple fence, or boundary stones ringing a shrine like quiet friends, or a Buddha whose smile is more neighborly than royal, you're seeing Dvaravati breathe through the centuries. So tonight, as we close, imagine a wheel turning slowly, not to hurry anyone, just to keep time with human hearts. Imagine a moat holding moonlight, a monk's chant rising like mist, a boat bumping softly at a landing while someone ties a rope and yawns. Kingdoms don't have to shout to matter. Some of the most important ones speak like this, softly, steadily, Dvaravati, a forgotten name that never really left. Thanks for walking with me. Sleep well, and let the old wheel keep turning, quietly, through the night.